In the quiet corners of their home, Mark often found solace in the memories he had built with Sarah. After echoed through the walls, and love once flowed freely between them, those began to creep in when curiosity turned into a revelation that shattered his world. Every evening, while scrolling through Sarah's phone to share a silly meme, Mark stumbled upon a series of messages that sent his heart racing. Each text was a confession of desires he never thought would surface, a longing for an open marriage. His breath caught in his throat as disbelief washed over him. How could she want this? Did she not see the potential for heartbreak it carried? A storm of emotions raged within him: betrayal, confusion, and an overwhelming sense of inadequacy swirled together. After gathering what little courage he had left, he confronted her about her wishes. They sat across from each other at their dining table. The tension hung thick in the air like fog in a forgotten forest. Dismissed his concerns with an airy laugh, her eyes glimmering with mischief rather than remorse. Instead, it would bring them closer together, that exploring outside their marriage could somehow rekindle their bond. Every word dripped with manipulation as she belittled his feelings, suggesting that perhaps he simply didn't understand love's evolving nature. Days turned into weeks filled with strained silence and forced smiles, shared with friends and family. In public gatherings, Mark presented himself as the dutiful husband while inside, a tempest brewed relentlessly. Meanwhile, Sarah began to embrace her newfound freedom wholeheartedly. Her laughter grew louder as she entertained other suitors without hesitation or care for Mark's heartache. As time passed, every flirtatious smile and late-night outing chipped away at Mark's spirit like waves eroding a cliffside. He grappled with feelings of inadequacy that wrapped around him like heavy chains. Insecurities loomed larger than ever before. So easy for her to move on. Could love truly morph into something so unrecognizable? Mark knew he couldn't reveal the turmoil within him to others. Vulnerability felt like an invitation for judgment from friends who idolized. There was audacity. Instead, he plastered on a mask crafted from indifference and dull acceptance, a facade carefully constructed so no one would glimpse the fractured man beneath. At behind closed doors, where only shadows bore witness to his pain, Mark wept silently for what once was the intimacy slowly fading into oblivion under Sarah's recklessness and disregard. Deep down simmered the desire for resolution. He longed to understand how love could turn toxic so swiftly. With each passing day, trapped in this silent struggle between love lost and betrayal, felt deeply within his bones. A clock ticked ominously forward toward inevitable confrontation, a reckoning that would demand answers neither of them were yet ready to face, but could no longer avoid forever. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over their home. Mark felt a storm brewing within. A gathering at their place was supposed to be a celebration of friendship, yet it had turned into a stage where Sarah performed her latest act of emotional betrayal. He watched from the sidelines, feeling like an invisible ghost haunting his own life. Guests mingled, laughter filled the air, and in the midst of it all, Sarah flirted effortlessly with another man. Each playful touch and flirtatious smile pierced through Mark's heart like shards of glass. To everyone else, she appeared vibrant and carefree. To him, she was a stranger who had forgotten their bond. In this charade, that Mark caught snippets of conversation drifting toward him. Jessica, Sarah's close friend and confidante, spoke animatedly about how liberating the open marriage had been for Sarah. Flowed easily as if they were discussing a vacation, rather than what felt like a painful dissolution of his marriage. With each word Jessica uttered, freedom, exploration, no boundaries, Mark felt his world tightening around him. He tried to focus on anything that could distract him from this unbearable scene unfolding before his eyes. At every laugh he heard sent waves of humiliation crashing over him. He could feel himself shrinking into nothingness while everyone else thrived in this new reality that excluded him. Finally, summoning courage from deep within, Mark sought out Sarah amidst the crowd. He needed her to understand how deeply her actions cut into him, the man who had once loved her fiercely, but now stood by helplessly watching as she embraced this reckless freedom without regard for his feelings. He approached her with determination etched on his face. She merely waved dismissively at him when he expressed how hurtful it was to see her so engrossed with another man. Instead of listening or acknowledging his pain, she shrugged off his concerns with a nonchalant laugh. "You need to just accept it," she said casually, as if they were discussing what toppings to put on pizza rather than dissecting the fragments of their relationship. "This is our new normal." In that moment, clarity washed over Mark like cold water splashing against heated skin. The realization that Sarah would never change or consider his feelings again struck hard and fast. Her words echoed in his mind, "Move on." Became painfully clear that any hope he held for reconciliation or understanding was utterly futile. Feeling both love and resentment twisting together inside him like an insurmountable knot. Ark stepped back into the shadows of their gathering, a silent witness to not only the unraveling of their relationship, but also the transformation taking shape within himself. At night marked an end, but also heralded a beginning. Beneath layers of pain lay seeds of resolve waiting to take root in fertile ground. Plan began forming in Mark's mind, a methodical strategy, designed not just for revenge, but for reclaiming dignity lost amid chaos created by Sarah's reckless desires. Guests continued laughing and enjoying themselves, unaware of the battle raging inside Mark's heart. He made up his mind. This would no longer be about passive suffering. It would become an assertion and unveiling to expose truths long hidden beneath the facade they had built together. And so began the quiet orchestration towards justice, a journey that would weave through deception and illuminate betrayal in ways none could foresee or ignore. Fueled by anger and heartbreak, Mark felt a clarity he had not experienced before. A betrayal surged through him like wildfire, igniting a determination to expose the truth of Sarah's actions. Time for him to take control of his narrative, to turn the tables and let her experience the consequences of her choices. He began crafting a meticulous plan to gather evidence of Sarah's infidelities. This wasn't just about getting back at her. It was about unveiling the woman she had become, the manipulative partner who tossed their vows aside for fleeting thrills. Each secret rendezvous she embarked upon would be documented with precision. Undercover and unnoticed, Mark followed Sarah on several occasions, camera in hand, capturing moments that would become vital pieces of his puzzle. He watched from afar, hidden among the shadows of trees or seated inconspicuously in nearby cafes. An odd sense of satisfaction crept into his heart. He could see her laughing with other men, the way she leaned in close as if sharing secrets only they understood. Each smile exchanged between them felt like another stab into Mark's already wounded soul. Swallowed down his pain, this was all part of the plan. In tandem with gathering physical evidence, Mark leveraged their shared social circle to amplify whispers without revealing his role in them. Utilizing fake accounts on social media platforms where mutual friends frequented, he began seeding rumors about Sarah's behavior, a clandestine affair here, an inappropriate encounter there. He carefully crafted each post to appear casual, yet persuasive enough to spark curiosity and concern. Days turned into weeks. These rumors sprouted like weeds among their friends, each one more outrageous than the last, and soon reached Sarah's ears. He remained blissfully unaware of Mark's orchestrations, but couldn't escape the growing unease that hung around her like a dark cloud. Friends began glancing at her sideways during gatherings. Laughter ceased when she entered rooms as whispers danced just out of her hearing range. With every public humiliation she faced, like being left alone at events, or catching snippets of hushed conversations about her escapades, Mark felt vindicated. He watched as her once adoring friends started distancing themselves from her intoxicating confidence. Now replaced by doubt and pitying looks, they cast toward someone who had once been so admired. At a dinner party hosted by one of their closest friends, Tom made an unintentional faux pas that sent ripples through the crowd, a slip that cracked open what had been simmering beneath the surface for too long. Laughter erupted over stories shared among guests enjoying a delightful meal together. Tom innocently brought up the latest gossip surrounding Sarah's newfound exploits. A room fell silent as eyes darted toward Sarah, some with intrigue, while others reflected disappointment mixed with disbelief. Ark's heart raced as he reveled in watching Sarah squirm under their collective gaze. Every second felt deliciously sweet as reality crashed down around her glittering facade. That moment, the culmination of months spent plotting revenge, Mark saw everything shift before him. Friendships dissolving like sugar in water under pressure, while shame clawed its way across Sarah's face. Her confident demeanor crumbled piece by piece, until nothing but vulnerability remained exposed before everyone who once adored her spirit. Yet even amidst this chaos brewed within him a bittersweet ache, knowing how far they'd fallen from grace together. The warmth enveloping him now was simply too intoxicating to ignore. Justice had found its way back home after all those sleepless nights filled with pain and confusion. Now it was only a matter of time before he'd reveal himself fully in this intricate game. They were playing a game where love no longer held any power against betrayal, and retribution ruled supreme over shattered trust. The chaos of social gatherings faded into mere echoes. The aftermath of Mark's calculated plan unfolded like the petals of a once vibrant flower wilting in the harsh light. Rumors that had swirled through their social circle began to take on lives of their own, each whisper carrying a piece of truth wrapped in layers of speculation. Era, who once thrived on attention and admiration, found herself cornered by the very freedom she had sought. Days turned into weeks, and as her reputation began to erode under the weight of public scrutiny, Mark watched with a quiet sense of vindication. Friends who had once celebrated Sarah's boldness now exchanged wary glances when she entered a room. A laughter that filled their gatherings grew softer, more strained, like an audience unsure whether to applaud or recoil from an awkward performance. Tom, ever supportive and loyal to Mark through this turbulent journey, took it upon himself to bring some revelations into sharper focus during one particular dinner party meant to celebrate liberation. Guests raised glasses in toast to new beginnings and open relationships. Tom felt it was time to peel back the curtains on what had truly been happening behind closed doors. With casual bravado masking his intent, he casually dropped hints about Sarah's indiscretions, moments that marked not just betrayal, but also profound consequences for their friendships. Awkward gasps rippled across the table as those gathered slowly pieced together fragments of conversations they'd previously dismissed as gossip. Became painfully apparent how deeply her actions had affected not only Mark, but everyone within their circle. In this moment, surrounded by friends whose loyalty began shifting away from Sarah, like sand slipping through fingers. Her face turned toward her with pity rather than admiration, the very thing she craved most becoming utterly unattainable. A realization settled heavy in the air. Sarah's facade cracked beneath scrutiny, revealing vulnerability masked by arrogance. Then came the confrontation, a final act that was inevitable given how events had spiraled out of control. Alone in their shared space one evening after another gathering steeped in whispered judgment about her behavior, Sarah stood before Mark with an expression reminiscent of desperation mingling with regret. Reconciliation not out of love or understanding, but from fear born from isolation and loss. For Mark, every emotion he felt toward her shifted under scrutiny. Any remnants of affection were obscured by pain too deep for easy forgiveness. Calmly yet firmly marking his boundaries amidst swirling emotions left unaddressed between them for far too long, he informed her that moving forward without her was no longer an option, it was an imperative for his own healing process. He explained how trust forged over years now lay shattered at their feet like pieces from a beloved vase, broken beyond repair. A silence hung heavy between them as reality dawned upon Sarah, a sobering epiphany that echoed louder than words could express. She had gambled with love and lost everything worth keeping close. Those moments exchanged without dialogue lay clarity. Mark realized this chapter would conclude not just with revenge served cold, but also self-respect reclaimed amid chaos reignited by deceitful choices made so nonchalantly. Days passed following this emotional denouement, woven together through heartbreak, and hard lessons learned beneath unforgiving truths laid bare among friends anew, all while rebuilding his life outside shadows cast by Sarah's reckless aspirations. Mark discovered newfound strength within him, previously buried deep beneath resentment, felt towards someone he once held dear. And he engaged more openly with friends who valued loyalty over fleeting pleasures, nurtured interests long neglected while escaping emotional turmoil, chained down alongside memories stained, darkened hues shaded purely by betrayal. And although healing takes time, just like mending wounds inflicted carelessly, the path ahead gleamed brighter than any shadow lurking nearby. With every step taken toward renewal, came whispers lingering softly, reminding him not only about hurt experienced, but also lessons learned amidst journeys embarked upon through treachery faced head-on. And Mark emerged empowered, not merely avenged against betrayal metered out onto himself, but renewed faith restored amid foundations built solidly, grounded upon respect deserved rather than hollow exchanges disguised falsely as intimacy. And the story concludes here with hope unfurling quietly alongside resilience, forged stronger against tides rising high, driven forth by betrayals unwillingly embraced at one point, before fading gently into memory where it belonged all along. N